what actually happened, what actually was caught on tape while they were spending your money to indoctrinate.
I want you to say America was founded by outsiders. Say that. Who are today's insiders. We get very nervous about today's outsiders. I want you to say the pilgrims were illegal aliens. Say the pilgrims never gave their passport to the Indians. Let's search for solutions that work for all of us. Are you with me? Give me a bam.
Okay, this is really important. Give me a bam, and we'll explain here in just a minute. But tonight we have a couple of people on. They're going to spend a few minutes with us here. First, one of the brave workers that's willing to speak out against the USDA scandal. But before we go to the guest, I want you to ask yourself, when you watch that video and when you hear this, would you be somebody that would have sat there and repeated those words? Would you sit there and say it? Or would you have gotten up and then been on this program? If you say, no, I would have sat there, ask yourself why. Is it maybe because you need a job? I understand that. But where then do you draw the line? Thank goodness somebody has stood up. In fact, a couple of USDA employees have. One of them is with us tonight. He had had enough, and he is disguised now for safety and employment reasons. We'll go to him, and also Thomas Fitton. He is the president of Judicial Watch. They are the ones who broke this story. You guys actually talked to the other
That's right.
whistleblower. So let me go to the whistleblower who is in our studios in Washington, D.C. Tell me what exactly happened here.
Well, we were invited to attend the event, obviously, and I will say it was an invitation. We were certainly highly encouraged to go as part of our cultural transformation initiative, and so I did go. I arrived a little bit late into the auditorium, and so I didn't catch the first part of it, but the first thing I heard was the conversation about BAM and why he would say BAM, and then he went into the whole conversation about the pilgrims, and it was at that point that I said, I'm done, and so I got up and left.
Okay, hang on just a second. Thomas, explain BAM. Why is this BAM thing so important?
Well, it's the equivalent of an amen. And he referenced Emeril, the great TV chef. You know, I want you to say BAM when to affirm what I'm saying. And when he goes through these controversial statements that are racist in nature, it's anti-white male, and he says it's normal to be racist. It's normal to be sexist, and I'm here to make you trans-normal. And he has people repeat back these outrageous statements like the pilgrims are illegal aliens. You know, Glenn, that's psychological reconditioning 101. That's brainwashing with a smile, and anyone who thinks differently doesn't know how this side of the aisle operates in trying to get people to rethink their views on race and sex. And they're views that are quite radical, and most Americans would reject.
So the BAM is actually that is actual old communist technique, isn't it? Do you know?
Yeah, the BAM it's an affirmation by saying yes, I agree, amen, BAM. You're imprinting on in your brain.
Right.
I agree with that statement. Even worse, he gets them to repeat back the pilgrims are illegal aliens.
That was stunning to me. To our person up in Washington, when he said to start repeating this stuff back, did anybody in the room at first laugh? Like, I'm not repeating that.
Sure, there was certainly a number of people that laughed. It was to some degree, it was entertainment. People went because, you know, they had heard he was a good speaker. I don't think people really grasped the gravity of what they were being asked to do, though.
Okay, and were you alone in walking out? How many of you walked out?
I can't say. There were plenty of people who were coming and going, using the restroom and whatnot. Since I came late, I hadn't signed in. I didn't have my name on the list, so I felt comfortable being able to go. But I'm sure it was few in number.
Okay, and Tell me, are you seeing anything else like this in your job at the USDA?
We have, the traditional diversity and inclusion sort of mandates that we, training, et cetera, that we need to do. So nothing to this degree, more along the lines of the traditional webinar or online training one might take.
Okay. And this is actually, I mean, USDA is where the Shirley Sherrod incident came from. But does this play a role in that?
Well, there was never any conversation that was the connection, but the lack of irony and the timing was not lost on me. So it seemed pretty obvious to me that there was a connection.
Okay. So, Thomas, what's disturbing to me about this is in looking at this guy, I've never seen this guy before. Most people will say, oh, well, it's just one quick seminar. He made, what, $200,000 on this? But if you go back and you look at how much he has made working for the federal government, that's nothing. That's like the candy change for him.
Well, it's $200,000 just for the USDA. It's $3.3 million total, most of which comes from the Department of Defense.
$2.8 million comes from the Department of Defense.
So most of his training is of our military. And since this came forward last week, we've had whistleblowers or people coming in, emailing us saying, look, I remember this guy back from 2000. It was just as outrageous. And a lot of Air National Guard people have been involved. All the National Guards have been trained. The Air Force Academy. You name it. The question is, what government agency hasn't contracted with him to push this diversity cult on innocent employees?
How does this happen? How does this guy get this? Is this something that comes from this administration? Is this something, I mean, you say somebody remembers him from 2000. How does this guy get hired?
Well, he's connected. He's obviously connected. He's a supporter of Obama, seemingly, from the video. He's all excited that Obama was elected president.
Of course he is.
For racial reasons. Look, $7,600 for 3 hours work, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. He gets paid to fly out there. They pay his expenses. On top of that, he gets paid a fee for anyone who views the video that's made available to everybody. And I appreciate your guest was invited, but our information was that a lot of folks were not invited. They had to go to these events, and God forbid if you said something. One guy was kicked out. He sent us an email. One of the emails showed that some guy was kicked out because he wanted to read a book while he was talking. And if you object to it, you're yelled at and you're told that we're going to report you if you don't play ball here.
So let me go back to to our guest here that is disguised. You were walking in and out. People were going to the bathroom. What was this weekend? What else was happening?
There was no particular special event that was going on. Dr. Betances was going to a number of our different locations across the country, giving the same speech. I presume the same speech because that's what we heard from other people around the country. They were getting the same indoctrination, as it were. So this just happened to be the week that he was in D.C.
Okay, so this is just like, because I've been to diversity training classes. I used to work for Clear Channel, and when any company gets huge, they make it mandatory, and you all have to go, and you all have to listen. But it's never one person giving it. There's always, at least with Clear Channel, there was always one person, then the diversity training person that's in charge for the company, then there's usually an attorney there. I mean, it's not just this guy. Everybody knows who's hiring him and paying. Everybody knows what he's saying.
Well, there were 16 of these things last year in just one component of one government agency. So you look at the cost to bring him in, and then you got to factor in the costs of our employees, our taxpayer paid employees sitting there for 3 hours listening to this racialism. Is it racist or racialism? It's your call. But it's objectionable in a moral and intellectual sense, and it's a waste of time. And this is the type of money that we're spending, not only at the USDA, but when you look at the numbers at the Pentagon, nearly $3 million at the Pentagon for this type of training. And we didn't pull out all the excerpts. You got to look at the entire video. He talks about our stealing our system of government from the Iroquois and our national symbol, the eagle from the Iroquois, and about how we stole the American Southwest from Mexico. This is hardcore academic leftism, and our bureaucrats are being asked, again, to chant back the more controversial statements. If this is not brainwashing, I don't know what is.
Okay, so go back to the last screen that you ran with the other, because this guy is not just in our federal government. He's most likely in your city as well. I'm shocked at how many places have had this guy in and done these things. You'll notice that they're all kind of in the progressive areas, though, most of them. How come we haven't heard about him? How come nobody else has come out and said, this is ridiculous? I mean, I saw it. I listened to the first 25 seconds of it, and I was outraged.
Well, we only found out about it because someone called us up over at Judicial Watch who attended and objected to it and said we got to look into it.
So, okay, so what does that tell you? Are people dead inside?
Well, I think you point out everyone has to attend these types of diversity training sessions, whether it be in the government or in the major corporate sector. And we accept too often the line that he's putting out there, and we don't recognize it for what it is, that this diversity training, this diversity programming is cult-like in orientation and racist in theory. And so, but we just sit there and listen to it, and the whole problem of being part of the sheep as folks force you to attend these events is really true here in this regard.
So what was it that you were sitting in the and you were sitting in the chair and you're listening to this guy? What was it that made you get up out of the chair?
Well, I was ready to go when he explained his reasoning behind the use of the term BAM. That was offensive to me to begin with.
And what did he say?
Comment about the Pilgrims and just sort of the rewrite of history. That was the last straw for me. So
okay, but wait, go back to BAM. Why did he say he was using BAM?
Well, as your guest from Judicial Watch said, he went into the explanation that he had this Southern background, and when you go to church in the South, when the preacher says something he wants you to agree with, you say amen. Can I get an amen? And he said, well, I'm not going to have you do that because we want to be more inclusive, if you will, and I'm going to use the term BAM, and I couldn't help but think, isn't that the whole point of inclusion, is to respect other people's beliefs rather than take them away? Yeah. So that set me off from the beginning.
And this program was promoted by the highest levels at the USDA. When you look at the proposal documents, there's talk of raising people's emotional intelligence. I don't think most people want to have their emotional intelligence to the degree that has any meaning raised. Certainly by someone who just gets up there and spends 3 hours making racially inflammatory comments, attacking the reign of the white male, but also spending most of the time speaking about himself. This is morally and intellectually offensive, but what a waste of time, because at the end of the 3 hours, it's just craziness.
Best. Why do you suppose your coworkers didn't get up and walk out with you?
I have to think some of them, there probably was some intimidation, the idea that they needed to be there or should be there. I think some of them, frankly, buy into it. It's the D.C. area there's not a lot of conservatives around, certainly not working for the government, so it just sort of fit their mindset.
Why did you ask to have your voice and face disguised?
Because I have a family that I need to take care of, and I didn't want to risk any sort of retribution for my comments today.
No, the federal government would make sure that doesn't happen. They have all kinds of rules and regulations so that doesn't happen.
Right.
Well, thank you very much for speaking out. I appreciate it. And good luck to you in the USDA. One more quick question, if you're still there. What do the people do that you were in that room with? What are they in charge of?
It's regulatory agencies, so safeguarding the health of American agriculture.
Oh yeah, these are the people they'll understand it then. Okay, thank you very much. I can't imagine. I said this on the air today, that the USDA is in charge of farms. I can't imagine these people coming to speak to any farmer that I've ever met in my life and have those farmers understand them.
Well, this is the Animal Plant Health Inspection Service. So a relatively important part of the USDA, to the degree they're not providing food stamps, they're supposed to be protecting our food supply. So the agency charged with protecting our food supply is spending its time 3 hours a day, 16 times 16. By the way, this guy not only gives the presentations, but he trains others to give presentations to other individuals in the agency.
It's a huge lucrative business. Okay, so I said yesterday that I thought people should call their congressman and pull the funding from the USDA until they get rid of things like this. I mean, how do you even, if you're in Congress, how do you approve a single dime to these people? If it's this out of control on this one thing, because this isn't even close. Have you ever seen anything like this in government?
You suspect this cultural diversity is a load of you-know-what.
Right. No.
But to see it in person and to see it direct, you realize how dangerous and morally objectionable it is.
It is. You used too many letters when you said culture. It is cult. This is a cult-like activity.
That's right.
And I've never seen this ever in our government, ever on anything. Have you?
No. But the USDA is only the tip of the iceberg.
I know.
So they're talking about sequestration. The Defense Department, $2.8 million. You know who else was a client of this gentleman's company? The House of Representatives.
Oh, my gosh.
So we need to bring it to the next level. Your viewers need to contact Congress and get a hold of this. This, to me, is as objectionable, it's frankly more objectionable than the GSA scandal. I'd rather have a bureaucrat drinking champagne out of a flute in Las Vegas than this type of evil.
This is scary.
Yeah.
This is really, you use the right word, evil. Okay, call your congressman, go to TheBlaze.com and find all of the information. We will post all of this up there so you can see it yourself. And you can see exactly how much money and who is doing it. And then look for your own hometowns, because your own hometown may be involved with this guy as well. And thank you so much. You guys do great work and have for quite some time. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you.
Back in just a minute.